It is 5:23. Welcome back to Daybreak. Well, we're starting to see first light over the horizon, but today's sunrise is not going to be anything like we've ever seen before. As the sun rises, it'll be in the middle of a partial solar eclipse.
And weather and space enthusiasts are up early this morning to check it out, including some people at the Buffalo Science Museum. And that's where we find Daybreak's Lauren Hall live this morning. Good morning, Lauren.
Hey, good morning, Pete and Melissa. I just want to show you a little bit about the gathering here on the rooftop of the Buffalo Science Museum. You can see the Eclipse Observatory. And we also have groups gathering, Science Museum members, staff, as well as the Buffalo Astronomical Society and the Buffalo Eclipse Consortium. So a lot of people who have a lot at stake here and who are really excited to see this eclipse in action. And we are here with Tim Collins right now, who's in charge of the observatory here. Very exciting day for stargazers of Western New York.
It is. It's a welcome sight. It's good to have everybody back up on the roof again. We've been waiting for this for a long time. We've known about this eclipse obviously for quite some time as well, and it's good to see it. It'll be here any minute now. It's almost full. I've got the live feed downstairs from, I think it's right around the Arctic Circle, so I've been keeping an eye on that. So when it rises here, it'll be about 78% eclipsed.
And just a great view of the horizon in the east here. Do you have any idea whereabouts we'll see the sun start to rise?
Yeah, the sun rises at 57 degrees along the horizon today, which is basically kind of like an east-northeast direction. So it's going to be beautiful. It's going to rise as a crescent sun. It'll be red, which is why I call it the weirdest sunrise ever. And you may notice right now we've got a lot of reduced colors out there because the sun is almost completely covered as it's rising.
And we're going to have about 100 people up here, and we know that especially people who love to look at the sky and love to watch astronomy and stars feel a lot when they see an eclipse in action. What do you think the reaction will be like up here?
You know, it's very interesting to say that because it does become an emotional experience. I went down to the totality in 2017, and I wasn't really expecting it. It was my first total solar eclipse, and it hits you. And we're going to get one in 2024. We're getting the total solar eclipse over Buffalo. So this is what we're leading up to. This is the beginning, because there are several lunar eclipses coming, one in November where we'll do this again, hopefully. There's one next May, so another lunar eclipse, and it's all leading up to that total solar eclipse in 24. And yes, it gets very emotional to see something like that, and can't really tell why, but it's just something that's happened throughout history, and people get very interesting when eclipses happen. I had people singing, people clapping, people crying when I was down in South Carolina. So
we'll be here to capture the emotion of it all coming up very shortly here in the 5 o'clock hour. For now, I'm going to toss it over to Elise, who I believe is on a different rooftop downtown. And Elise, I'm sure you have your safety glasses as well, a necessity on an eclipse day.
Yes, definitely. And I have to say, Lauren, we are in for a spectacular event this morning. This could be a once-in-a-lifetime event for us to see a sunrise that is partially covered by the moon in a partial solar eclipse. And what's been really interesting to monitor already this morning is how we started to get a bright sunrise, and now the sunrise is actually beginning to dim as the moon is covering it up. Again, peak time is going to be 5:39. We'll have live coverage through then, and after that of this partial solar eclipse. So Pete and Melissa, I'll send it back to you.
The sky colors are already muted. It's already changing. Really exciting.
Let the show begin. Thanks, Elise. As we head to break, a live look outside at the early light, and we'll have more local headlines and weather coming up at 5:30. Level check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Melissa's level check. Hello, hello.
Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3, mic check. Can you?
And good morning, everyone. This is Storm Team 2 meteorologist Elise Smith. Thank you for joining us on this live stream of the partial solar eclipse that will begin around 5:36 with our peak here at 5:39 a.m. I'm looking at the live stream right now, viewing everyone's comments. Thank you all for waking up with us this morning. Molly says she is so excited to see this, and let me tell you, we are too. Just remember, keep in mind, one of the best ways to view this partial solar eclipse, you need those solar eclipse glasses. But if not, keep watching this live stream. We'll have
Right now on Daybreak, cruiser crashes. Police are investigating 2 separate crashes involving sheriff's vehicles. They happened within minutes of each other on the same stretch of highway.
July 21st, they expect all of Canada to be at 75% fully vaccinated. And at that point, we expect even further loosening of the border restrictions.
Plus, reopening the border, a small step from our neighbors to the north about border travel.
And you paid for it. Cheektowaga had plenty of fanfare when it brought clean energy cars for town workers. But has anyone actually been driving them? Why some residents are seeing red over going green.
From the station that's on your side, you're watching Channel 2's Daybreak.
Good morning. It is 5:31 on this Thursday, June 10th. I'm Pete Gallivan.
And I'm Melissa Holmes. Thanks for starting your morning with us here on Daybreak. We'll get to those top stories. Plus, look out your window right now. The sky's already looking a little different. We are just minutes away from a sunrise treat this morning. We've been talking about it for a while now.
Yeah, at around 5:35, we will be able to witness a partial eclipse of the sunrise. So we're going to be taking you to the roof to watch that. Actually, a couple of roofs, but right now let's check in with Patrick Hammer.
I really liked what that guy said earlier about the emotional aspect of this. It's something you wouldn't expect, right? You're like, oh, it's just an eclipse. When you see these things or experience them, I think emotion does kind of kick in because it is just so beautiful. This is a look at our sunrise right now. This is our Niagara Falls camera. Again, we're just a few minutes away. Elise is up on the roof, and she's got a couple of different vantage points that we will be showing you as well. The good news is skies are clear. There is no fog to deal with. A perfect morning to experience this eclipse. A high today of about 80 to 81 degrees. Your forecast into the weekend is coming up.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. It is 5:32 now. And first this morning, Erie County Sheriff's deputies are investigating 2 separate crashes involving cruisers on the same stretch of the 198. Deputies say a canine unit had its lights on when it was helping a broken down vehicle between Delaware and Elmwood when it was rear-ended. Both the deputy and the canine were hurt. And when responding to that crash, a separate sheriff's vehicle was also hit. That deputy was not hurt.
The Erie County Sheriff's Office is also looking for a driver who hit a highway worker in Clarence and then drove off. Police say an older white man was driving a black SUV when he hit a worker doing repairs at Salton County roads around 2:30 Tuesday afternoon. After the collision, the driver continued east on County Road. If you do have any information that could help, call the Sheriff's Office at 858-2903.
Well, expectations were high when Canadian health officials called for a news conference yesterday with hopes that there may be some movement when it comes to reopening the Canadian border.
But that hope was quickly replaced with frustration. Daybreak's Karis Belger joins us this morning to explain what was said and how our elected officials are responding. Morning, Karis.
Yeah, good morning, Pete and Melissa. The most recent announcement from Canadian health officials said people who travel would be subject to quarantine changes, but still no clear announcement on any changes in when the border will be reopening. Those same health officials said more vaccines are on the way, including some doses from the U.S. to help more Canadians get vaccinated. So far, we know the full vaccination rate is at 7%, smaller than the 45% of people in the U.S. Two on Your Side did speak with the mayor of Niagara Falls in Canada, who is hoping talks between President Biden and Prime Minister Trudeau at the upcoming G7 summit will lead to an agreement as opposed to a unilateral opening, which has been suggested by Congressman Brian Higgins.
Maybe they'd come forward and make sure that they're on the same page, because you don't want things to be unilateral. You want to do things together and collectively. It'll make things a lot better, because there's so much confusion about rules, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. It would be nice if they both agreed to a certain level.
Mayor Diodati also explained outdoor dining will be opening in Ontario beginning this Friday. And despite the carefully measured reopening his government is currently working on, he'd like to see things fully reopening in July. And specifically, Mayor Diodati says 74% of Canadians are expected to be vaccinated by the 21st of July. He also mentioned that some incentive for people to get vaccinated may be seeing the Toronto Blue Jays play at Salem Field. In Buffalo, I'm Karis Belger, Channel 2 News Daybreak.
Again, still no word, though, when visitors can cross the border. All right, Karis, thank you. Well, we are the station that holds people in power accountable. And this morning, some folks in Cheektowaga are seeing red over the town's latest effort to go green. The town used a $250,000 state-sponsored clean energy grant to purchase a fleet of 6 electric vehicles and a charging station. Several town employees tell us at least 3 of those cars appear to not be in use since they took delivery of them 6 months ago. The town supervisor did not return our calls for comment, and we've got more right now at WGRZ.com.
5:35 now, and right now a live look outside, and in just a few minutes the partial solar eclipse will be taking over the sky. Our live coverage starts from the rooftop after the break. Daybreak will be right back.
And welcome back to the Channel 2 News, a live stream of this partial solar eclipse from Buffalo, New York. Thanks to tuning in from our Facebook page or our website right now. I see comments from people across the country tuning in to view this partial solar eclipse, as Buffalo is one of the best places to see it this time around. No one within the United States will be able to view totality, but as you see here, sun over the horizon. But it's going to be covered up by the moon. We're going to have more views and vantage points of this as we reach our peak here, when the moon will be covering up nearly 70 to 80% of the sun, with our partial peak here in western New York. And that's only going to last for a few minutes. Right around 5:39 is when we are anticipating that partial peak solar eclipse here in Buffalo. And then after that, the moon will slowly retreat from the sun out of its orbit here in Buffalo. So again, when we get these solar eclipses, the moon moves in between the sun and the earth. So the sun's rays cast through the moon and leave a shadow on the earth. That's why it appears to be darker, or the sky would be getting darker. From my vantage point up here at Channel 2 up on rooftop weather, I actually can't see the partial eclipse because it's blocked by some tall buildings here in downtown Buffalo. But this is a great view here right now. The sun is not as bright as it typically would be at sunrise right now. The moon is covering up part of it. We are zooming here in on our sky cam. There are going to be several different views and vantage points we'll be able to show you throughout the morning as we reach the partial peak here in Buffalo. So thanks everyone. Keep leaving your comments for us. I'll check those throughout the morning.
Welcome back. 5:39 now on Daybreak, and we're just moments away from an out-of-this-world sight. The moon is about to pass in front of the sun, creating a partial solar eclipse.
We have team coverage and multiple cameras giving you a look at this phenomenon if you can't see it from your own home. So let's start with our meteorologist and space enthusiast, Elise Smith, up on the roof right now. Good morning, Elise.
Hey, good morning, Pete and Melissa. Yeah, so I actually can't see this partial solar eclipse from my vantage point up here on Rooftop Weather because some taller buildings are blocking it. But I will say the sunrise is not as bright as it usually would be, so we know something is happening. And the moon is coming in between the orbit of the sun and the earth, and the moon is going to be blocking part of the sun right now. So this is a live look from Niagara Falls over our Seneca Skycam, and you can see right behind this building right here, you can see what's happening right now. We have that orange hues. The sun is beginning to rise, but it's being partially covered up by the moon as we are going into this partial solar eclipse. We are getting right towards that peak right now, which is at 5:39, 5:40. So we can't really see it from this vantage point, but here's a better view. There it is from our Hyatt cam. Look right now at your screen. There it is. The moon is covering up the left-hand portion of the sun as this partial solar eclipse is happening over Western New York right now, June 10th, 2021. No, this is one of the best places across the United States to view this partial solar eclipse, as no one in this country is in the path of totality. The path of totality lies across the northern half of Canada, portions of Greenland, and Russia. So this is likely one of the best views of this morning's partial solar eclipse in the entire country, and we get to see it here in Buffalo right now. Just look at that. Take a moment and take it in. And this is just a peek, a preview of what will be happening in 2024 when we do get that full total solar eclipse here in Buffalo on April 8th in 2024. But this is one of the most unique sights I've ever seen, where we are getting a sunrise, but the moon is covering up the sun with how the earth is in alignment, the moon is in alignment, the sun is in alignment to give us this beautiful shot. And here's a shot from NASA, even better. You can see the moon covering up the sun there. If you are outside right now, if you want to take a peek at it, don't forget your eclipse glasses, but you can safely look at it here on your television screen, on your phone screen, or your computer screen if you're joining us from the live stream. But look at this. From our Hyatt cam over Buffalo, we get to see a partial solar eclipse this morning. Now, we've already reached our partial peak here in Buffalo. Now the moon is going to be marching away from the sun through about 6:36, and once we get to that point this morning, we will have our full and bright sunrise. But if you are up early with us this morning, thanks for tuning in. This is just a wonderful sight here right now, and I'm sure many people across Western New York have woken up early with us to view this celestial event. Very unique, I would say once in a lifetime experience to be able to see this type of solar eclipse over Buffalo and over Western New York. And it's just, again, a preview for what we will be able to see when Buffalo is within the path of totality in 2024. So if you got any eclipse glasses or bought anything to view this eclipse, hang on to them, because we will need that in just a couple of years. And you can already see the moon is starting to back away from the sun. We're getting to see more of the sun right now, as the moon in its orbit around the earth is starting to move away from the sun, and we're starting to see more of sunshine from us right now. So what an amazing sight, and thank you to everyone who's left us comments, who's joined us for this live stream on our social media platforms and online. And if you're watching with us right now, we can all take a deep breath and sigh and look at this beautiful sight that we're all experiencing together, live on air, live outside. This partial solar eclipse is visible right now in Western New York. And I know we have Lauren Hall, who's at the Buffalo Science Museum. She's experiencing it with many amateur astronomers and people who love space and science too. And we're going to send it over to Patrick right now. Patrick, how are you feeling? I know you were very excited about this partial solar eclipse, as I was, but as someone who was able to view totality in 2017 with that total solar eclipse, I mean, this is just as special, but I'm sure it's gotten both of us and many people who love science very excited for what's to come in 2024.
Yeah, well, it's 5:40 in the morning, so typically I'm emotional anyway, but today is no exception. This is really cool. You know, I just walked outside. The colors of
It's gorgeous.
Whether you see it or not, really did dim for a little bit. But again, this eclipse was occurring as the sun was, you know, peaking above the horizon. So we didn't see as much of a change during its evolution, but it's really something. You know, there's so much ancient history and folklore regarding eclipses and what people used to think they were. In fact, in the past, before we really understood what an eclipse was, some communities thought it was a dragon that was eating the sun. That's what it was like. Some of the mythology with eclipses was really, you know, stories of legend. It was really something. And now we, of course, know what's happening.
Yes.
And the reason for it. But eclipses have played a role in history for eons.
Well, and what's so unique is when we are within the path of totality, when it gets dark, as if it's somewhat like nighttime or as if the sun is setting. And when I was able to experience totality, all of the animals and the different insects, cicadas, because it started to get darker, they perceived it was nighttime. So it wasn't just the experience of being able to view the solar eclipse, it was the sounds and being around so many people who were just so excited to see it. So it's not just watching the eclipse, but being present with everyone there to fully experience it. And I cannot wait for us to be in the center and be within totality in 2024.
It's true, Elise. And yeah, you got to experience the one a couple years ago in totality. And we're going to experience that here as well. Usually, paths of totality are very narrow. Luckily, sometimes they cross the United States, but as it just so happens, in 4 years, that path of totality, no, excuse me, 2 years, that path of totality is right over Western New York and Buffalo, which is just an amazing opportunity for us. But
April
again,
8th, 2024.
April 8th, is that in our, yeah, nobody's taking a vacation that day. Anyway, we're seeing the end of this eclipse, but Elise, truly something.
It was. So Pete and Melissa, what do you guys think? We're going to send it to you.
I think what is pretty cool is you're seeing our view from the Hyatt cam, but that NASA shot that we saw really showed the
Ring of Fire. That was spectacular.
Yeah. So it's it's a show that I've never seen and likely we won't see in our lifetime again.
All right. Right now, this live look outside will take you to break as you're watching the end of the partial solar eclipse. Stay with us.
And welcome back to the live stream of this partial solar eclipse that we're able to see in Buffalo from Channel 2 here in Buffalo, New York. So the partial solar eclipse is coming to an end. We just experienced an amazing sight here in Buffalo in Western New York. And if you're watching us from our live stream, thank you. I'm going to look at some of the comments now. So many people tuning in from across the country, as Buffalo was one of the best places to view it this year. Many people are saying how amazing it was. Victoria says it's amazing and thanks for sharing. We're so happy you were able to see it. Mary said it was a beautiful sight. Sue said absolutely beautiful. Lots of good mornings to everyone who's tuning in to see this. See this great sight of this partial solar eclipse. And yes, mark your calendars, everyone, for April 8th, 2024, when Buffalo will be within the path of totality and we'll be able to see a total solar eclipse. But now we're having sunrise right now across Western New York. By 6:30, this is all going to be wrapping up. You can see the sun is just somewhat clipped by a little bit of the moon as it has passed across the sun in its orbit around the Earth. Almost a near alignment here in Western New York to be able to see that. People tuning in from Texas, Maryland, Washington, D.C. Thank you, everyone, for watching along with us as we get to see this very unique site where we have a partial solar eclipse at sunrise. I've never been able to see one of these before, and it's probably just as rare as being within the path of totality, and within about 3 years, Buffalo has both. And a solar eclipse is a bit different than a lunar eclipse. A solar eclipse is when the moon blocks the sun, and then a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth blocks the sun's rays from the moon. So right now, the moon is between the Earth and the sun for a solar eclipse, and a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth is between the sun and the moon. And they're in alignment, but we also are getting comments of that NASA shot. Yes, NASA has a live stream going as well, as a totality has occurred for many locations already. We had a partial peak here of when the sun covered about 70 to 80%, or when the moon was able to cover about 70 to 80% of the sun, and it really was an amazing sight. I'm so happy that we were able to get that here for everyone to see and for everyone to view this morning. I think it's going to be a great day. We've had a partial solar eclipse to wake up to, and we're going to have the local forecast and other news coming up soon, and local reaction too from Lauren Hall and other astronomy people who just love this. So stay with us, everyone. We'll be back soon.
Well, this is kind of, she got to do the eclipse, I got to do a 5-day forecast. She got the fun stuff.
I'll pay attention to both.
Right. Elise, thank you. You brought us a great visual and a great perspective of what we just witnessed. So very cool. And nice to have you on Daybreak this morning, by the way. All right, sunny and warm today. The sun will be not blocked by the moon anymore. That already happened, 81. Tomorrow we get a few inland thunder showers developing. Then Saturday, kind of a mix of sun and clouds. A couple of showers Saturday night into Sunday morning. It doesn't look like a big deal at this point, but still some showers are possible Sunday, and then a little cooler as we head into the start of next week. Visibility was pretty good, except in Wellsville. Sorry, I know you had a lot of rain yesterday. That helped develop some fog for you. We're in the 60s now. Dew points are back in the 50s, so it's going to be noticeably less humid in how things feel today. A cold front did slip through yesterday, and that has brought through some of the drier air, some of the better feeling weather, if you will. We will not see a repeat of the thunder showers that we saw yesterday. And boy, there were quite a few across the southern tier. For today, hour by hour, it looks really nice. Oh, isn't that a pretty shot too? Right around 80 to 82 degrees today with plenty of sun. And the long range forecast, again, a few showers on Sunday. Next week, cooler. Highs only in the 70s. Low to mid 70s on Monday with a chance of showers, especially to start next week.
And welcome back to this Channel 2 News live stream of the partial solar eclipse from Buffalo, New York, as we wrap up what was just an amazing sight we had here as we witnessed a partial solar eclipse as the sun began to rise this morning. And thank you to everyone who has joined us this morning and was able to see it. We are so excited and happy to be able to share this with you and bring you this view. This is from our Hyatt cam, a view over looking east over downtown Buffalo, northeast. So the eclipse is pretty much over. There's just a sliver of it happening right now where the moon is still covering up a bit of the sun, but you can see this is a pretty big and bright sunrise already. Had a couple of those thin high-level clouds, but thankfully they did not block our view whatsoever. And of course, if you woke up with us and took any photos, if you're an amateur astronomer and you were able to get some great photos, please share them with us. You can hashtag #BeOn2 on social media or send them straight into our newsroom or email us as well, or just send them to us via social media. That would be great. But any moments you'd like to share as we wrap up this partial solar eclipse on June 10th, 2019, and mark your calendars again for when Buffalo will be within the path of totality on April 8th, 2024. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great Thursday.